Welcome to Mayan Mondays, an explorative approach to the possessive Mai through narratives, art, and sound. Each Monday brings a new creation and unique perspective. Mayan Mondays is brought to you by MING Studios, a contemporary art space and international artist residency program dedicated to the exhibition, experience, and exploration of arts and culture. Along with exhibiting artists from around the world, MING also serves the community by hosting innovative programs including performances, workshops, screenings, readings, artist talks, and other cultural activities. For more information, or if you'd like to participate in Mayan Mondays, you can visit our website at mingstudios.org. Hello and welcome to the 111th episode of Mayan Mondays. Our guest today is Yazmín Novelo, a sociolinguist, singer, and musician from the Yucatec Maya community in Mexico. Prior to her current role as a language revitalization mentor, Yazmín was the director of an online indigenous radio station, a news anchor, and a professor at the National University of Mexico and the Autonomous University of the Yucatán. She currently lives and works in her native Peto, Yucatán. In our conversation, Yazmín tells us about her work as an artist and her passion as an activist for the Yucatec Maya language. So I've gathered from the little bit of communication that we've had just via email and from what I've read about you online, it seems like your Indigenous language activism is central to most of your work. And so that said, you are a sociolinguist, you've been a teacher and a television broadcaster, you worked in radio, and you are also a singer and musician, which I was really excited to learn about. And so I'm curious how you apply your activism or how you have in the past in all of these different fields.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to talk a little bit of me and my work, and I think mostly about language revitalization, which is my passion and my work. And as you said, in every area of my life, it's about language. If you ask me why, I don't know why. I just know that when I realized that Mayan is a language that is little by little losing spaces and having less and less people speaking it. I don't know. I feel like it's if I don't do something, if I don't make something, it's like when you are informed about something really bad is going to happen and you don't action toward it, and that happens to me. Yeah. And so, I think that's like the main reason. It's because it touched me very deep.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. I didn't even know that there were television and radio programs. I mean, radio makes more sense, but so your native language is Yucatec Maya. So you were actually a television broadcaster in the language.
Yes. I must say that in my childhood I didn't speak my Mayan language.
Okay.
Because in my parents, my dad, my mom, they never spoke me in Mayan. Okay. But I grew up in an environment where everyone were speaking Mayan, so I learned it.
Yeah,
I could understand it, but I never had this facility to speak. But I started very early working on radio in the indigenous radio of my hometown, and since that I really felt fascination about communicating ideas and communicating thoughts. Yeah. I love how the radio was a tool to get close with people. So in my childhood, I knew that I want to do radio. And I think that was my first desire. That was my first goal of life. And then, when I put together my fascination for radio, and then also the information I had about my language, well, those two things made that I decided to start something. First, to activate my language, and then to start a project where language can be in the radio.
So you actually initiated that. You began. Were there no other people doing speaking in Maya on the radio before that?
In the Mayan area, we have 3 states. And in those 3 states, every state have a Mayan radio.
Okay.
But it's a government initiative.
Oh, interesting.
So really, it's not from the people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a big problem, because when the people is not the owner of the media, well, it's something like, even if it is in our language, it doesn't have our voice. It's not our voice, even if it is in our languages.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another one of the fields, you are a musician and a singer. And so you write as well. You are actually writing the songs yourself in Maya at this point, I think I read. Like, you're not singing in Spanish anymore. You're just singing in Yucatec Maya.
Yeah, I wrote all my songs, and sometimes it's easy, sometimes inspiration. It's a flower who goes into the air and I can catch it, but sometimes a song can take me 3-4 months, and I'm working on that. But I think it's a way to show also the different, how different we are from the stereotype people draw toward indigenous people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in art, in the music, you can speak about what is going on in your life. And if it is in Mayan, it means that it's a Mayan person who is talking about what is going on in his or her life. And I think that was my motivation to speak about, and to also to make public my feelings and my thoughts, because it's about love. It's about my songs are about love, about not only that image that people think it's an indigenous person. Sometimes they think that the indigenous are person that we live in, I don't know, sometimes I think they think that we live in trees, or we just have certain dress or kind of clothes.
Yeah, you're people who are alive and living contemporary culture, just like everyone else. So
Exactly.
And so that brings me to you did a hip hop song actually with a hip hop musician artist named Pat Boy, and it was done in the Mayan language. And can you tell us a little bit about that collaboration and the message of that song? I would like to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to portray that song as more important than your own music, but I haven't seen a video online of your own music yet, which I would love to see, and hopefully but because that's the song that's most available, it comes up a lot. That's why I'm asking about it.
And you are right. I think that song was very important, even if it is not my favorite. It's not very, very much my style. I recognize that it was very. It went viral in those times, and some people know more about that song than my songs, and it is okay. You know what? I think it is because the quality of the video clip and the quality of the sound is something. That song is it's like a statement about so many things that it's happening now in indigenous people, in the Mayan group, in my with my people. There are so many people talented and working on songs and working also on other kind of arts, but we don't have the tools, the technical tools, the technical knowledge in how to make a product, a cultural product, beautiful. I don't want to say that our songs are not beautiful, but we are in like, you know, the main context of the cultural products. It's large. There are so many people working on music now, and we are like competing with so many people working in other languages. And that video showed that, well, that was a work made with so many efforts and so many collaborations, and we had that beautiful video clip and song. And even we went to the main city in the country of Mexico. We went to the capital, to Ciudad de Mexico, to record that song. And not so much people have the opportunity to go and to have this professional record and that professional video clip.
Can you tell me what the message of that song is? What is the song about?
The name is Shimbalka, which means the people who is in moving. Shimbal means to walk, also means to visit, and Ka is the people, the cultural group. And we talk about we together can show who we are, and together can show that we are not those archaeological artifacts. But we are here, and we are in these times, and we are moving like other people. That was the main goal to transmit in that song.
What kind of feedback did you receive? What did you hear from people? What did they have to say about it?
Also, it is very interesting because I can talk about the beautiful comments and the beautiful opinion we receive from many people, and how that put Mayan language in the social media. And I think it's a good way to show to the kids that Mayan language is beautiful, and you can sing and you can dance with your language, you know. But in other hands, also we receive opinions that show that many people have interiorized those ideas about what a Mayan person should be, how a Mayan person should be. And many persons criticize us because we were not dressing our traditional dresses, and also because it was in rap. It was a rap. There were some parts in rap, and rap it's not Mayan, you know. And that just show us that there are a narrative about us, And we are fighting against that narrative.
So the people who were criticizing you, they were non-Mayans.
I don't know if they were Mayans or not. The comments were in Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they were well, Mexicans, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes what happens too is you even have people within the culture who want to hold on to the old ways of things and don't want to allow anyone to sort of live in a more contemporary way. But language is always changing, I think, and culture is always changing, and that doesn't mean that you can't hold on to the old and still move forward.
Yeah, I think that was part of the explanation about those two sides of.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, for me, when I think about it, it's sort of like you are Mayan, you yourself as a person, you are Mayan and you are doing this. And so it's sort of like saying, oh, you are not you, you know?
Yeah.
So I read a little bit of, a couple of interviews with you and some different things that I found online. And I'm curious what the response has been from the younger generation and why you think it is so important, the revitalization of the language among the youth.
I think, well, it is something that I'm noticing now in the work I'm developing here in the Yucatan. And we are seeing that even if we can have so many works about language, we can talk about a school, we can talk about, I don't know, language nest, just for saying something. But if there are no persons who wants and who loves their language, all that work has not a purpose, because to take care of a language, for the future of the language, we need to first have the people who wants to speak. And I think music and also media, it's like the arm, like the heart of the language revitalization work.
Okay.
Because the feelings that we need to, the talks we need to take and to spread between us. As we said, there are a narrative about us Mayans, and that's a narrative that show us like the past, we are from the past, or we are not beautiful, or we are not value, and people doesn't want to be linked or related with all those things.
Yeah.
So the music and the arts are important because we can take ideas, new feelings between us to think about our language, to think about us. And it's not the same that if we say that in conversations or workshops, it's not the same if you hear someone singing about, I don't know, what you feel when you speak, or it's different. And even in songs, you don't need to lecture someone to speak their language. If they see that you are enjoying your language and you are being happy and having a good moment with your language, that's a message too.
Absolutely.
That communicates too. Yeah.
I imagine just, for example, with like the hip hop video you did, hip hop is very much, I mean, it's been around for what, like 35, 40 years now, but it is still very much a youthful a music that's associated with the youth. And so there's got to be, I'm imagining, interest, you know? It's not, I can imagine that it's not hard for you to find interest among young people.
And I don't know, here in the Yucatan, the Mayan music and also the writers, I think, are the most like developed area where language is very present. There are so many writers who made their poems and stories in Maya language, and also the music have a very important. We have a very important tradition, not only with the rap. Hip hop is something new, but before hip hop, we had the first people who attempt to make records and to sing in Mayan. They were a very important example for us. In my mind, it comes the name of Santos Santiago. It's a Mayan musician who he made many songs, reggae songs, and it was very important because it showed us that we can have our language in the style of music we like, in any kind of music.
Absolutely. That's really cool. I mean, I would love to learn more about that. So I'll shift gears a little bit just for sake of time, because I promise a time limit always on these interviews. But, so I read an article about you, and you had attended the Maya Maíz Roots Conference in Arizona, and I was really, you just said, you made a couple of statements that I found really interesting and sort of sparked a bit of curiosity in me. And you spoke about the importance of corn to the culture. And you made a mention about how taking away a people's language is a violent process. And so I was really struck by that statement. And then you had mentioned somewhere else, I think in another article or something, the importance of corn to the culture. And then I just started thinking about the importance of food and language, both as like really important elements in culture. And it made me think about how I've noticed in my mother is from Venezuela, and I've noticed how the food, and I've noticed this from speaking to, like, learning a little from Mexican friends about how the food often doesn't use the Spanish words. Like, most of the food in Venezuela is they use either indigenous or African words for food items. And I think this is something that happens in a lot of Latin American countries. I can't speak for other parts of the world, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Like, to me, it almost seems like that's one safe way of, like, really holding on to something as your own, you know?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing that you mentioned. And I was thinking that if the language dies, I don't like to use those terms, but just let's say if the language dies, even if those meals, kind of food, have names, indigenous names, if the people doesn't know about, if there are no speakers of that language, those names will be changing with the time, losing their essence. And it happens here in Yucatan with the names of the little towns around. There are so many in our geography. So many towns have Mayan names, but now those names are a little far from the original essence.
Yeah.
And some word that means, I don't know, Chansinic, now it's pronounced Chaksinkin or something else.
Okay.
But we Mayans, we know the name of that, the real name of that town, and we know why that place is called that name.
That's
And
really
I think,
interesting.
yeah, and that thing that you are commenting about food, it's important because it is just something that we can see that if we lose the language, we lose many things. We lose economy, we lose ecology, because those names of the food, maybe they are naming the products or the ingredients, and yeah, and or the way to cook that meal, or maybe a story about that food. In language, we have so many things. It's not only a code to speak with other person who needs to decodify what we are saying. We have an entire universe and an entire world in the languages. If we don't have our language, we will lose also those foods.
Yeah.
Because first, persons who are working on the farms, they need a language to know the names of the herbs and the products and the fruits and all those things. And then we need also the language to know how to cook those products. And I think it's taking me to think about that phrase you mentioned it about how take the language to people. It's kind of violence, because if we don't have language, we don't have also the knowledge about how to cook, how to take care of the farms, how to farm, and that make us poor, because it push us to live a way of life, a capitalist way of life, and we need to take the other food of others, the thoughts of others, the money of others, or the economy of others, and we keep for us nothing.
It's so powerful, the work that you're doing. I mean, it just encompasses so much, I feel. And so I'd love to know what it is that you're working on currently. What is it that you're focused on? In what avenue are you using this work that you're doing?
Right now, I think I'm focusing on, we are with my partners, with my Mayan colleagues, we are working on develop a network or a group of people gathering to think about the future of the Mayan. And that makes me pause other aspects of my work, like you mentioned, the music, and also I was teaching in some universities and the radio. Yeah, there are so many things I like to do.
So you're still continuing with all of the work that you've done.
Yes.
So it seems like you work in a very sort of organic way. With whatever comes up, then that's where you put your focus.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think I'm seeing what is urgent now.
Yeah.
And in this very moment in my mind comes this phrase. I think it was, I'm searching the name of this author who said that the times are urgent, so we need to go slow down. And I think it was, let me see. Yeah, it was Bayo Akomolafe, a Nigerian writer. And I think now for my people, I stopped all the things I'm doing, because if we don't stop and if we don't think, where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
We are just walking and walking and walking, because we know that it's urgent to work about language, and I can do podcasts or radio or teach or just fill my schedule with activities.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I and other persons are in the same route, and we don't have a shared goal. And that's what I'm working on now with the Mayan community. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And as I've said, we have 3 states in the Mayan region, and we are trying to gather people from all these 3 states to think about the future of our language and where we are going with all those works we are doing, and trying to put a strategic goal, thinking on 40 or 30 years in the future, where we want to see our language in. We have like 11 areas we identified we need to work on, and those areas are media, cultural production, also education, and technology, also the hobbies, spaces. You know, we want to make yoga too, or this Zumba classes, or learn Taekwondo, but in our language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really exciting and inspiring.
It is, and also it's very consuming time, because
I can imagine.
It takes a lot to combine and to have a balance between our own schedule and the schedule of others.
Yeah.
So right now, as you said, in all the areas of my work, I'm just focusing on this, and also in the work that I'm collaborating with ELP, because that's also the
Endangered Language
thing that they are doing. Yeah.
Endangered Language Project for listeners.
Endangered. Yeah, it's a place where also we need to go together and to share and to grow together and to think about where, I mean, it's not the Mayan language, but where all our languages are going.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound like it could be overwhelming, but it also sounds really exciting. I mean, just listening to you talk, it makes me feel inspired, and I wish the absolute best of luck to you and in these next planning stages, and I'd love to continue to know what's happening with that. And is there any way that others can become involved?
Well, we have our social media, but everything is in Mayan language. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we translate to Spanish some things. And also we have our web page where you can keep tracking our activities. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me. And I really enjoyed the conversation, and I would really love to know more about your own music as you move forward with that as well. Do you have any recordings?
In this very moment, I'm working on that. I hope in March from 2024, I will releasing some songs.
Okay, great. I'll keep posted with you, and hopefully we can share that music when it comes out. I'm really looking forward to it.
Sure. It was my pleasure to speak and to talk with you. It's always fun to speak and to share all the dreams of the Mayan people.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Monday. Tune in.